Hello everybody, welcome back to Firefield Junction. We're finally back here with another video today. It has been a little while since we've seen anything from the layout. Just been really busy with other stuff. Got various other models arriving that I've just needed to get work done on just to get them suitable for the collection and stuff. But we're finally back. I obviously have uploaded I think a video before this, but it's been a while since we've had one from the actual layout. But we're finally back. And we are finally continuing with the fabulous Lima Class 37 projects. It's been a while since we've seen anything from it, but we're finally back. We've got the logo in front of us again today, and we can continue upgrading the logo, and we can proceed with the next step. We're not too far now. We are getting there. We haven't got an awful lot more to do, but we are getting there. But before we carry on, I might as well just go over with what we've done so far, in case you haven't seen any of the other videos from this project. I will just go through quickly what we've done so far to improve the logo and just make it a bit better. So the first thing we did is we gave it a service, we gave it a clean, gave it a strip down, just try and get it to get it running smoothly and to get it working, because it didn't really work to start with. We've converted the model to DCC, so we hardwired in. I say hardwired, we fitted an 8-pin socket. And then we plugged in a standard 8-pin DCC decoder into that, just to again improve performance. And well, for me, because I run DCC, it's pretty much necessary, I suppose. So we did that. We upgraded the motor, so it's got one of the CD motors in it as well. Again, that helped improve performance. It was quieter, smoother. And then the last thing we did is we fitted some directional lighting to the logo. It improves the performance a bit better, just makes the logo look a bit better. But today's today's step that we're going to be doing is we're finally going to be fitting some sound to the model. Now I did think I'd be able to do this earlier, but unfortunately the decoder that I wanted for the logo was unfortunately out of stock with who I wanted to get the sound from. But luckily, fairly recently, they managed to get the decoders back in stock. Because it was the 8-pin lock sound decoder that I needed. Because the decoder that I've gone for, if I just grab it for you, we can see here it's one of the lock sound decoders. The sound file that we've got is the Coastal DTC 37/0 sound file. That's the one that I've gone for. The Coastal DTC, they do produce some very good sound files. The Class 37 one is definitely one of their best, I think. But one of the good things about Coastal DCC is that they're also cheaper compared to a lot of other sound distributors or retailers that sell sound decoders. Obviously, generally for a decoder, especially a lock sound decoder, and with a decent sound file on it, you're usually looking at maybe anywhere from £110 to £120 for one of those decoders. However, Coastal DCC, if you just buy a standard lock sound decoder, either 8-pin or 21-pin, this doesn't include any of the lock sound micros or anything. This is just a standard lock sound 8-pin or 21-pin decoder, plus the sound file. Your total, including postage, comes to about £95, and that obviously is much better compared to around £120 for sound decoders from the likes of other retailers. And I'm not saying, obviously, that means that you shouldn't buy any decoders for that price, because the sound files generally, it means when you pay that bit more, you do then tend to get a bit of a better sound file. Whilst the sound files from from Coastal DCC, they are good, they don't have quite as many functions, and the sound files just in general might be a little bit more basic. However, they are still very good. I really do recommend them. They really are good. And now, before we get the decoder out, we will just take the body off so we can quickly see what she's like inside. Getting the body shells off these is nice and easy. Just a few clips on each side. Just need to prise the body away gently from the chassis, and then it should come off nice and easily. There we go. So if I just lift it up and I just put it here for the moment, just so you can see. So you can see everything inside. So we've got the 8-pin socket here. The decoder's just been tucked down out the way here for the moment. You see we've got all of the wires for the directional lighting as well. We've got the motor bogie as well. But obviously for this, we need to remove the standard decoder. Obviously that'd be nice and easy to do. The sound decoder should be able to tuck again nicely in the space here where the regular decoder is, and we can secure that with a bit of black tack or a double-sided sticky pad or something. Now the speaker I'm going to be using, and we're not going to hang around here today, we're not going to go cheap out, we're going to go all in. We're going to go for an EM1. I was thinking about an EM2 when I first started doing this project. However, an EM2, whilst it probably would work, I think it'd be a bit more stressful, a bit more work to actually get that speaker in. To get this speaker in, we shouldn't need to do any modifications. Before we started, I did make a little bit more room for the speaker, because the speaker I'm going to put inside the body shell here and secure it inside the roof. Because securing it to the chassis, there isn't really much room on the chassis, because again we've got the sockets, we've got the motor, all of these wires from the dummy bogie as well. But by securing it into the body shell up here, it shouldn't clash with anything, it should be out of the way, and hopefully we should get some nice reliable bassy sound from it. Because I have heard the Coastal DCC Class 37 sound files with the EM1s, and they do sound fantastic, really bassy, really fantastic sound. I haven't heard one in a Lima 37 though, they've all been Bachmann or V-Trains ones, but hopefully we should get the same effect from this one, although with those 37s the speaker was in the fuel tank, but I'm sure this one should be just as good. But obviously before we do that, we need to take out the old decoder, but that should be nice and easy to do. If we just grab the decoder and give the socket a little wiggle, it should come out. I think we're going to need a little bit of a helping hand here from the screwdriver. There we are, just prise it out nice and gently. There we go, it should come out now. Yeah, there we go, it's coming nice and slowly. There we go, don't want to damage it. And there we are, it comes out. Again, this is just a standard 8-pin Train-O-Matic decoder. They are really fantastic decoders. I really do recommend them. They are a lot cheaper than a lot of other premium decoders, regular decoders, but they really are good. A nice, very smooth performance, really reliable. I really do recommend them. So if you're looking for a decent standard decoder, I recommend those because they are fantastic. But obviously that's not what we're doing today. We're going for a sound decoder, so we can get it out of the package now. So if we just open this up, take out the tray. We'll put the box to one side. If I just put the tray down in front of us, we'll get rid of that. There we go. And then we've got the decoder itself. So if we just take a look at it, get my words out. There we are. So if I just hold it there for you, so we can see we've got the 8-pin plug and the decoder itself. So we've got all of the fancy bits on there. We've got the standard Sugar Cube speaker that comes with all decoders as standards. We've also got the enclosure for it as well, just here. So you've got your enclosure there, so you can take out those bits from the sprue, and you can choose whatever size enclosure you want. Obviously, just whatever you want to do, so whatever your preference is. And then we've also got the usual lock sound sticker there as well. But so we can put all of that to one side because we don't need that for the moment. Obviously, we are interested in the decoder. So obviously, as I mentioned earlier, so I think what we're going to do is obviously the decoder will plug in here. The decoder should fit nicely down in this little gap. And if I just lift up the chassis for you, this bit, there we go. So we've got a nice little gap here between the weight and the actual chassis. The decoder should fit down nicely in there where it should be out of the way. And then the speaker itself, we can put inside the body shell here, and hopefully it should all work nicely. So I think without any more time wasting, which I do too much, I think we need to get the decoder fitted. We'll wire up the speaker as well, and then we'll see how she sounds. So I'll go away and do all that, and I will see you in a moment. So here we are. So as we can see, the loco is back on the track. everything's been fitted as you've just seen. The decoder's been installed. Unfortunately, the decoder is bigger than what I thought it would. Obviously forgot how big the Locksound V5s are. So the decoder has had to actually just be secured as I normally do, with a double-sided sticky pad to the chassis, which is absolutely fine. To us, it's probably better than what I was thinking about doing before, where I was just going to put it in that gap again, like I showed you earlier, basically in the fuel tank, if you like. But yeah, unfortunately the decoder was a little bit too long for that. So it's just been secured to the chassis with a double-sided sticky pad, where it should be fine. It's out the way, so it's not flopping around inside. So it should be nice and safe where it is. And the speaker, as you've just seen, is secured nicely in the body shell, in the roof, just under here. I've given it all a test. I've given the decoder a new address. It's all been programmed, so we should get some decent performance now. It is still a little bit jerky and a bit iffy here and there. I'm just guessing probably partly because probably some decoders you might need to spend a while tweaking them and programming them to get them to work properly with the CD motors. Because when the loco is running, whilst it is smooth, it's not too bad. There just seems to be some speeds where it starts to get a little bit weird. It might start suddenly jumping randomly between random speeds. But generally, it shouldn't be too bad. This loco is mainly going to be used on a sort of shunting, I say shunting, just a general sort of stabling point, exhibition layout that I'm doing. That you should have seen videos of that in the past. If you haven't, I recommend going looking at them. So I'm building my own little exhibition layout, which will mainly be for locos such as this, which are on 80/90s rail freight sector and stuff like that. So the loco will rarely be running very fast. So as long as it runs nicely at these slow speeds, then I'll be perfectly happy with that. Obviously, being an EM1, the sound isn't quite as loud as you might expect it to be or probably want it to be. But it's not too bad. It is, I would say, it's loud enough. It would be nice if you could get it louder. But for that, you'll need to really go for an EM2 or just go for a different speaker that you get similar performance from, which unfortunately is quite rare. But overall, it's not too bad. But anyway, I think what we need to do is go for some of the functions. Obviously, it is it's the Coastal DCC 37/0 sound file. And now the function list for these decoders, it will be different whether you go for a Locksound V5 or if you go for a Zimo decoder. Because I have a Batman Class 37 that also has the Coastal DCC 37/0 sound file. However, that sound file is on a Zimo decoder, and you have a few less functions on there, and some of them are on different keys as well. So just bear that in mind if you do go for these decoders. Depending whether you go for a Locksound or a Zimo decoder, that will affect which sound file you'll have. Whilst a lot of the sounds again are the same, like the engine sounds are the same, the horns are the same, it's all generally the same. You do get less functions, and I think maybe some of the horns might be different. Again, don't quote me on that, but I think that they are different, so they are slightly different. But obviously this one is for the Locksound decoder, so there are a few more functions compared to the Zimo one, but generally they are the same. So if I just do a couple of the horns for you. Now function 2, you get sort of a random horn every single time you play it. So if I just play it a few times. So if you can see there, you sort of get, there's a selection of horns for function 2, which is quite nice. You get a lot of high quality decoders that don't have that, so that's quite a nice feature. Function 4 is the brake release. So the job, I suppose. Flange squeal. Okay, so I'm guessing flange squeal can only be used when the loco is actually moving or when the engine sounds are running, so that's not too bad. Function 6 is the fan, which again, it seems you can only have that running when the engine's running. That's fair enough. Function 7 is the drive hold, so that's effectively when you activate that function, you turn the dial on your controller, you will change the engine sounds, but the loco's speed, whatever it's doing at the time, won't change at all. So that's quite a nice function if you want to rev the loco up before moving off. It's quite I do use it quite a bit, so it's quite a nice feature. Function 8 and 9 are a bit irrelevant for this. Function 8 is just volume, so that will just turn the engine sounds off at whatever point. That literally doesn't matter when the loco is running. It will turn the engine sounds off then and then. But then if you then disable that function again, obviously the sound will then come back. Function 9 is inertia off/on, so I think that affects the acceleration and deceleration. Function 10 is the buffer coupling pipes, it says. Yeah, it does the job, I suppose. So I don't know why it went on for so long, but fair enough. Function 11 is the driver's door. Yeah, again, does the job. Function 12 is the Spirex valve. Hopefully you can hear that. It is really quiet in real life, but hopefully the microphone is picking it up. It is quite quiet, but it does the job. Function 13 is fire belt, and this is something that I'm not too sure about. It's definitely not on the. It's not. I know it's one that's not on the Zimo sound file for the. Well, it's not on the Zimo decoder for this sound file. It seems like you need the engine running for that one as well. Again, I'm not too sure what it's for. I'm guessing maybe it's fire warnings for the fire system. Maybe I'm not too sure. But at least it's there. It's not too bad. I don't think I've seen any other sound decoder that has it, so that's not too bad. Function 14 is the guard's whistle, which again we need to have the engine running. Function 15 is the priming loop. Okay, so that's not too bad. That's what you hear usually before the engine starts up, so that's not too bad. And then function 18 is cab lights, which obviously we don't have. And then you've got auxiliary on function 19, and 20 is to switch the compressor off apparently, which I'm guessing is an automatic sound. So that's not too bad. Obviously we've still got the regular directional lighting, so we'll put that on. And obviously you won't be able to see it. There we go, so she's going this way by the way now. And then we can fire up the engine. So hopefully you can hear that. Again, it is quite quiet, but you usually get that with the EM1s. And I suppose this loco is quite enclosed as well, so that probably won't be helping the volume too much, because there isn't really much areas for the sound to escape, apart from probably sort of the gaps over here in the motor bogie. But overall, it's not too bad. Obviously, if you were doing this, I suppose if you wanted to, you could take out the waste and centre and put it in the fuel tank if you wanted to. And that's something that I could do in the future, I suppose. I could move the weight maybe so it's suspended from the body shell maybe, and then put the EM1 in the fuel tanks. There's plenty I could do, but for the moment this will be fine. For this project at least, it will be perfectly fine, but again I can come back in the future if I want to and change it further to improve the performance better. But as it is, it's not too bad. So let's get it running. Okay, she is a little bit creaky at the moment still. So hopefully you can see what I mean here. You can see I'm giving her half power, but because I set the top speed and the middle speed very low, she is jumping about a little bit ever so slightly. But overall, she's not too bad. I'm guessing maybe the back EMF I could increase again, because I have got it set as low as I can get it. Maybe we'll try giving her a bit more power. Let's do that. Let's go full power. Now I have set the max speed to 30, so it's not very high. hopefully you can hear there, you can hear the sound. Really, really bassy. Really, really nice. I have set the acceleration and deceleration to 200 as well, so she does take a while to accelerate. But as you can see, she's running very well now. She sounds really, really good. I know that, again, I know the sound is quite quiet. And I can't increase the volume anymore. The volume is set to the maximum setting. But at least she's got some sound now. And overall, she sounds fantastic. So the next thing to do, I think, is to give her a nice weathering and add some detail to the buff beam, I think. And that should be the last part of the project. But overall, I think we can say that fitting the sound has been an excellent success. Everything's sounding really, really good, nothing's rattling about. Yeah, overall, I'm impressed. Really, really good, I think.